Hi, this is Pavel with a C++ exercise from the book Starting Out with C++ from Control Structures through Objects. This is Chapter 4, Exercise 1. The exercise states, write a program that asks the user to enter two numbers. The program should use a conditional operator to determine which number is the smaller and which is the larger. Now this is for beginners, obviously. I mean, if you have any experience with C++ or really any programming, this is just a basic if statement. However, I will also show you a different way to do the conditional statement using so-called ternary conditional operator, which it's a different syntax with a question mark, and you'll see it at the end. But first, let's solve the problem, how to determine which number the user enters is greater. So I already have my library imported. I'm using Visual Studio, so this library is specific for Microsoft Visual Studio. If you use any other IDE, you don't need this one. So anyway, we only need two variables. We need two numbers. So we'll do integers. In our case, that's good enough. I'll call it first number, and integer second number. So that's two integers, and then we will simply ask the user to enter them. Cout, please enter first number, and we will do the cin to capture it. So we got the first number. Now we're not doing any checking. We don't check whether this is string or anything like that. This is again for the beginners. We'll simply assume the user knows what they're doing, and we'll enter actually an integer. Of course, in real world, you never want to rely on user knowing what they're doing, because heck, half the time I don't know what I'm doing, as you can see soon probably. But hopefully this will go well, and you will learn something. Maybe I will too, who knows. Anyway, back to the programming. Cout, and we will do please enter second number, and the same thing, cin, except this time we will store the second number. So how to determine which one is greater? Well, one thing we need to kind of take into consideration is that neither of them may be greater than the other. They may be equal. We actually should check whether they're equal as well. So let's do that first. If our first number equals the second number, then we can simply cout something like our first number, and then a string that will say equals, and we will do the second number, and end of line. So basically this will output the value of the number. Let's say first number equals 5 and second number equals 5, so it will output 5, an actual number 5 equals 5. So that's the if they're equal. Now we can do another if statement. If first number is greater than second number. However, we are checking for one condition and one condition only. We don't need to check each condition whether they're equal, or whether first number is greater, or whether the second number is greater. Only one of them will be true. So we can, instead of doing a bunch of if statements, we can do else if. In other words, if this is true, do this. If it is not true, this is skipped. It will come over here and check this condition. So if this is true, then cout, in other words, if first number is greater than the second number, then we will do first number and then a string is greater than, and we will output the value of the second number. So if the first number is 10, the second number is 5, it will output the value 10 is greater than, and then 5. And finally, again, like I said before, we can do another else if, but there's only 3 options. Either they're equal, or the first is greater than the second, or the second is greater than the first. So instead of doing another else if, we can do else. If these 2 conditions are not true, then there's only one other possibility, and that is that the second number is greater. So we can simply do else cout, and it will be the second number, and a string is greater than, and the first number, because that one would be of course smaller. And that's really all there is to it. Let me build it. And then I'll run it. Wow, it's taking so long for a few lines of code. Anyway, so here's my screen. I'll enter, let's say, make them equal. So 5, first number is 5, second number is 5. So it simply outputs 5 equals 5. Now if, let's say, the first number is 10 and the second number is 5, then it should output 10 is greater than 5. What do you know? 10 is greater than 5. And now if the first number is 5 and the second number is 10, it still will output 10 is greater than 5, because remember, we are outputting the second number first now. We are putting the number that is greater first. So it still output 10, which in this case is the second number, is greater than 5, which is the first number. And that would be the solution for the exercise, but like I said before, I'm gonna show you another way to do these conditional statements using the C++ ternary conditional operator. Basically, it's an operator that is if else. Only 2 options are possible. Now, so since we have 3 options, we have either equal, greater, or less, then we need to take one of these conditions out of the question, so we can code it the same way. In fact, let me just do it this way. I'll just copy paste it. So if they are the equal, we will simply output the numbers are equal. The first number equals the second number. Else, now we don't use an else if, because I'm going to use the other 2 conditions into one operator. And let me show you how to do that. Else, and now we will do is the first number greater than second, and the syntax for it is first number greater than second number. Notice there is no if or anything. It's in a form of question. There is a question mark after that, and it literally reads like, is first number greater than second number? And if it is, then do something, and if it is not, then do something else. And this is the else kind of statement. If it is, whatever is for the yes, for the true, goes to the left of this operator, which means basically else, and whatever is false, in other words, in this case, if the first number is not greater than second, it would be false, that goes to the right of it. So to the left, we'll write what do we want to do if the first number is indeed greater than second number, and we will simply output this line. I will just copy paste it without it's not the end of the statement. So again, is first number greater than second number? If so, output first number is greater than second number. Else, which is this the 2 dots, and I'll put it on the new line. If it is not greater, we already checked if they're equal, so if it is not greater, then the second number is greater. So we will output cout second number is greater than the first number. And if I run it, let me build it first to make sure there's no problems. If I run it, and if I do again, let's say first number will be 10 and second is 5, the first line, 10 is greater than 5, is the result of the if statement, if, else, if, and else. And the second line, 10 is greater than 5, in other words, it's the same result, is the ternary operator here. Now this is a little, for beginners, this is a little harder to read. But again, instead of going if first number is greater than second number, you're asking a question. Is first number greater than second number? If it is, do something. If it is not, then after the dot, which is else, if it is not, then do something else. And again, there is no else if in the ternary operator. It's either or, basically. So that's why we had to check for the third option, which would be if they're equal. We have to check for that separately. Now, for example, we can do something like this. We can check if the first number equals 5. And you can do it with the if statements, something like if first number equals 5, and then we would output first number equals 5, else we would do something here, we would do cout it is 5, else we would do cout it is not 5, right? And it's fairly easy to read and understandable. Let me again just run it and show you the result. So let's do the first number 5 and the second number 10. So again, 10 is greater than 5, 10 is greater than 5, and it is 5, it says right here, because we checked it over here with the if statement. However, this can be also we can also check that with the ternary operator, simply like first number equals 5, or in other words, does first number equal 5? If it is, hey, then just print it is 5. And if it does not, then just print it is not 5. And we should get the same result again if you use the first number 5, for example. So if I do 5 and let's say the second number only 2, then it says 5 is greater than 2, 5 is greater than 2, and then it says it is 5. That's the first if statement, and then it says again it is 5, which is the result of the ternary operator. Except let me just put the end of lines there just so it's more readable, so it doesn't run all together. So let me run it again just so you can see it better. Let's say this time it is not 5. Let's make it not 5. So let's make the first number 4 and the second number 3. So it says it is not 5 for the if statement, and it is not 5 for the ternary operator. So in other words, it's the same result, just a different way of getting it. And again, even though this might be harder to read, it comes fairly handy, especially during these like one-liners. You can check something and return a value, or just output something if it is true, or and output something else if it is not true, instead of going through if statements. And you can kind of fit it neatly within directly into the the cout into the console output. So alright, so this is the basic if statements and the basics of the ternary operator in C++. So I hope this was helpful, and if you liked it, please leave a like if you know someone who could use these videos. So share it and leave a comment, and do the regular YouTube stuff as you would normally do, and I will see you in the next video. Happy coding!